Why? We're live.
And we are live. Welcome everybody on the panel.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello.
What
Hello,
happened?
Jerry.
What happened to Poofy over there? We go live and he's gone.
We had to go
He was-
check the chicken.
He was checking the chickens.
Oh, maybe that's what I should have done was check the chickens. I walked mine.
That's what the problem was. You got back faster than he did, though.
Nah.
Yours must have had to go.
Yes. What?
Me.
I couldn't help the countdown. Y'all want to tell everybody who you are? Why you're here? Who
Hello,
brought you?
everybody.
Who brought you? Who sent you? Why?
Go ahead, Charles. Tell them where they can find you.
Sorry, I tried to get back in time. I'm Charles Deering. I can be found at woodenvisions.com. Excuse me. The Charles Deering on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you for having me.
Herbie?
I'm Herb. You can find me on the Herb Scrolling Station on YouTube, Facebook, and just about anybody where I could sneak in at. Out of you.
Oh, to me. Russ Meadows here from the Rusty Nails with a Z Wood Shop. Find me Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and yeah, just like Herb. Anybody gonna let me sneak in?
And I'm Steve Nealon from Harneo Media, and you can find me at harneomedia.com and just about everywhere.
All right. I'm nobody. I'm not here. Just pretend you never saw me.
Hello, nobody.
So, why are we here? I guess we've talked about it. So, I don't know where to start with my journey. My journey has been almost close to 2 years in the making. Well, no, closer, a little over a year and a half. If you go all the way back to the beginning, it's been a 3.5 year, 4 year long journey of tetanus, heart attacks, traumatic brain injury, strokes, to the point now that I'm in the wheelchair. I don't know. Here we go with the whole thing. I don't know. Why is this so weird? I can talk to you guys every day. And as soon as that live button happened, now I can't talk.
You're talking to the masses now.
All three of them.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
the same way.
Just think about them like they're in their underwear, man. Keep going.
All right.
Wait.
No.
Wait. I can't. And we're not even going to talk about that. We're not. We're not.
Oh.
We're not talking about anything like that. Oh my God, I can't stop thinking about it now. What happened?
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, man. All right, so serious business, folks. Serious business.
We need one of those things and be like, bleep, and start over.
Take two.
Clapperboard, I believe. Yeah.
This one wasn't for real, was it? So we've been talking in our little circle for a good while. Thanks, Herb. About me doing this, and we started it once, and then we stopped it, and then we started going live on Facebook, and then we stopped it. And it all boils down to me, my insecurities, and vulnerabilities, I guess, would be a way to put it. You know, everybody on the outside out here that sees me right now, they seem so that they see somebody that doesn't look like they're in that bad of shape. But that could literally change at any second. You know, I could become a literal babbling idiot and not be able to put words together, and I may have a seizure. I may start tics. Any number of things could happen. So that was always a stress factor for me to pull the trigger to actually go live, was am I willing to take the chance to put this out there? Because, I mean, once we go live, it's here, right?
Right.
You can't unsee what you've seen, you know, just like you can't unring a bell. So I've had to come to terms with that. So instead of having some kind of structure of, hey, this is it, this is my journey, this is what I've done, where I've been, what's going on. Along the way, we'll give you a brief little bit rundown of what's going on in here and how I got where I am and where we're going. But for the most part, we're just going to treat these like a hangout. Be happy, be comfortable, talk about what we want to talk about. And I'll show you how I do things. And we have big plans in the future, hopefully, to try to encourage more people to go outside of their comfort zone, to reach out of that darkness of, I'm going to say self-pity for a lack of a better term, but I didn't like it when people said that to me, so I don't like using that term to other people. But I mean, the reality of it is once you get over it, you realize that's 100% what it was self-pity. But
Yes, it was.
so you've got to get beyond that, you know. But nobody in that position wants to ever hear that, you know. When I couldn't talk and I got depressed and I just didn't want to be here anymore, if this was the way my life was going to be, I at that point could never see myself having a conversation like I'm having right now. This is taking literally well over a year for me to be able to do this.
I can understand.
Howdy, Mark.
Oh, Mark.
Howdy, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, it took me a while to want to get out there to talk to, you know, other people. I was there for a while. I just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
You know, contemplate things.
But
And,
see,
you know,
at that point in time, both of us were in that same position of self-pity, you know. You go through the whole feeling of you feel completely worthless to useless to a burden to why would anybody want to live like this? You know, I don't want people to have to take care of me, you know. And yeah, it's rough in the beginning and I needed a whole lot more day-to-day care. And thankfully my sister was here for that. And, you know, she spent months here with me, helping me to try to regain some form of functionality.
And it is a constant journey because I have just a mental disability and I'm constantly low self-esteem, low self-worth, and pity party.
Well, it was bad enough. I mean, it was right in the height of COVID being, you know, whole scary taboo thing, whatever, the boogeyman that was going on. And my sister needed to be at home with her family and she was here trying to take care of me. And I got a little bit better with communication and, you know, that stuff started to come along, but I may go to bed tonight, wake up in the morning and not be able to even form words. I may just grunt all day. Be what? Yeah, Amanda said it'd more than likely wake up and be stuttering. That is my biggest problem, is the stuttering and the tics.
Do they stop on their own or what?
There's I really wish I could answer that. There's not a rhyme or a reason to when they start. Well, there is a reason sometimes and of why they start, but why they stop or how they stop or any of that, I mean, they may go on for days. I've had some very violent tics where it affected like my whole body, violently jerking. It felt like I was trying to snap my own neck.
Damn.
I was punching myself. I mean, Steve watched me punch myself. Well, he didn't really watch me. He said he never could actually see my fist. He could just hear it. But that's all uncontrollable. And that, I mean, the wrong thing could get said, or I could see the wrong thing, more likely hear the wrong thing. And I just will start off in some weird tick, saying some weird phrase, or really probably a word, not really phrases. I don't say phrases. I don't yell profanities. I don't have Tourette's. I just have these ticks for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Well, the kids say I have been known to yell a profanity, but I'm not sure whether that was me or the tick.
I was going to say, that was because of the traumatic brain injury. It affected the same type part of the brain that affects Tourette's. So it's not Tourette's, but you have some of the same effects.
Well, are there certain triggers that cause it that you know
of?
Or nothing?
Yeah, but it's really hard for me to try to give you an example without causing something to happen.
Let's don't go that far.
I mean, just like I see it when I'm hanging out with people. I'll get these times where my eyes will start squinting really weird, and I make these facial expressions, and my head will be jerking and snapping, and I look at people looking at me like, "What in the hell is wrong with him?" And it's I can't help it. Yeah. It's not me doing. I mean, it is me doing it, but it's not me doing it. I promise you, I'm not. As much as my neck hurts me, I'm not willingly sitting here just jerking my head side to side for any kind of show, you know.
Mark says he's known you for several years, Jerry, and the energy's just you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. But it's, you know, it's hard to explain, but when I've had like severe issues with it, like Chase, I like flipped him off and cussed him just because he looked at me, and then I felt so bad because I mean, he's over here laughing about it now. He thought it was so funny when it happened. But I felt horrible because by nature I would do that. But I had no control over it that time, and it really bothered me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
And for those that are watching from the first time, because the link got shared to watch, Chase is his daughter's boyfriend, and his daughter's name is Amanda. You'll hear those names a lot.
Yeah. I forget. That's one problem with just trying to just start midstream is if you don't know me or know my backstory or any of that, then, you know, it.
Which is why questions are encouraged.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was Mark. Thank you, Mark. Mark shared it, and it. Mark, if you want to come on here, you're welcome. I don't know where the links for here have been posted. I don't know if they're posted anywhere you can see them or not. If you want it, just flip Steve off and he'll send it to you.
I just sent it to him.
Here's another real good example of why I've been nervous about the lives. I have no idea what we were just talking about. Not a clue.
The level of lack of profanity, but still the intermittent Tourette's type stuff, but clearly not Tourette's, just the same part of the brain. And Chase was, I don't remember it all either because I'm multitasking. I'm not good at it.
Juan Lopez just joined us.
Hello, Juan.
Said some familiar faces.
Juan.
Good to see you, Jerry and Russ. He doesn't know the rest, I guess.
I met Juan once a long time ago.
Yep.
I met Juan through Dave Gatton's show,
Yep. Yep.
which is where I met Russ and where I met Mark Lindsay. The goofy one in the corner over there, Charles. I've known him for a while.
It's funny how I knew who he was talking about.
I noticed Steve didn't raise his hand.
I wasn't raising mine.
No.
I was like, it was so funny because we were hanging out in here last night and I took the things down and I knew who everybody was. And now I'm like, I think I need to make it mandatory that everybody has their name up there so I know who you are.
Mm-hmm. Long time no see, Juan.
Yeah.
He's got a new motorcycle and he's out there riding that motorcycle now.
Yeah. I've been watching it on Facebook.
I don't look anything like I did when I met Juan, so he probably has no idea who I am.
You actually met him in Dallas at Fort Worth at the
Yeah, I
meetup.
had a Fu Manchu and a straw hat on and a black Dale Jr.
I was amazed that he jumped from the Jeep to the motorcycle so fast. He didn't even get a chance. He didn't get a chance to get Jeep burnout. And for those that are on YouTube, we're trying to monitor those comments over there. Before we see them in here, it's literally like a minute and a half. Steve is trying to monitor those, but Steve won't interrupt to spit out your comment.
I'm going to say Juan has been saying hi to Mark is the only thing that's been going on in the chat at the moment.
The lag is a lot less right now. I mean, that may not stay that way, but very short lag now.
Good. Okay, so that being said, I guess I'll talk about what we were talking about just before we started in here. Don't know exactly how we'll do it or what exactly we'll do, but I'd like to have some little outside participation with people and have some fun challenges of maybe like, I don't know, stir stick challenge or gingerbread house challenge or something, just things like that to try to bring other people, get more people involved.
Yeah, especially people who have the disability, that things that they can do, because most of them aren't going to go out and build a shed or.
Right. Well, we're going into wintertime too, and I think it'll be fun to have some, little one-day crafts you can do inside or little fun projects. I'll try to come up with some ideas that won't necessarily be something that you just spend the day doing and then you throw it away. Try to make it be something useful if you complete the project properly.
Yeah, Mark said, gingerbread. Well, Mark, it's building a gingerbread house. It's not eating gingerbread.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because it is my channel after all. I've always made gingerbread crack houses myself. So I'd like to have a gingerbread crack house contest and see who can develop the nastiest gingerbread crack house. I don't know. To me, I just think it's funny because, in reality, Christmas still comes to crack houses. It may not shine upon it, but it's still there, right?
Mark says that house won't miss a shingle or two. Well, if it's a crack house, we're probably missing it anyway.
See, I should have been more prepared for this and went and found pictures of some of the ones I've done in the past years. But I don't think they're appropriate because of some of the graffiti that's on the sides of the houses. I don't think
I was going to say, some of those
appropriate to be sharing on here. My very last one, I got a 30-day ban from Facebook for posting it. So
It's funny you have to blur parts of the house so you can't let it be seen. Huh?
yeah,
Blur
that
it out.
might have to. I have some simple little projects of things that I used to do when Amanda was little. I used to make these little puzzle-like things, and I think that would be fun little challenges.
Mark said if it got you a 30-day ban, it was a winner.
Oh,
All right, somebody take over for 1 second. I have to bow out for 1 second. I apologize.
No, no problem.
Right.
So, kind of the premise of this show is it's a journey, and it's also the day to day. And if anybody wants to use better words
Why
that I'm
the fuck
using,
are you doing this all of a sudden? He's not.
Jerry, if you can hear me, you may want to mute yourself. It's up to you.
He did.
He did.
I forgot what I was saying. This is a day to day discussion, not literally. There's no set schedule for these live streams because it's still a process. It's either going to be it's a day to day, but also a journey because he's learning what he can and can't do, and can't is not a word he likes to use. He can't do it yet, but
with the disability.
yeah, with the disability, and so thank you for that clarification. So I hope that's why I encouraged when I shared it on Facebook. I think anybody that comes across this show, whether it's live right now or pre-recorded from earlier, a lot of people have mental and physical disabilities. This isn't limited to just people in a wheelchair. It's out there to inspire people and relate to people, and don't feel alone because a lot of us go through these things. And I'll let somebody else on the panel talk because I know a lot of people can relate to even some of the struggles. Go ahead.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier that the things that he used to be able to do. I mean, when I tell you this man is a mechanical genius and all this other stuff, I'm not lying when I say that. And the things he can't do anymore, that he doesn't want to admit that he can't do, so he's going to find a way around it. And this, as what I got out of what he was saying, that this is geared towards able-bodied and disabled, and that to basically to put it out there for the disabled folks that what you think you can't do, you probably can. You just don't know how to do it yet. And so he's gonna as time goes on, he's gonna start doing small projects and showing you things, how he does things, and to prove that it can be done, and to help the disabled come back into a good reality.
And he's already discussed the self-pity. We all go through it. It means
Right.
you're human, so don't beat yourself up for feeling that way. Nobody likes to feel weak, but it does.
No, and that's what I was saying. Nobody wants to hear it, but I promise you, if it's something you don't want to hear right now and it's making you mad, I promise you, when you find that peace, you'll understand what I'm saying is 100% accurate. I mean, that's like the logo. I mean, living beyond disability, out of the light, or out of the darkness into the light. Anybody that goes through a disability, not anybody, but most people end up going into a really dark place of just self-pity. You know, you don't want to be a burden on anybody. I couldn't see my life. I couldn't even communicate when I was hungry. You know? And when you're that low, and my brain was that scrambled, I couldn't envision this day. This day was not even a possibility. You know what I mean? I could not. I felt like at that point in time in my life, if I could ever say I want a drink, that would be like a world changing win, you know. I could never imagine where I am now, but I had to pull myself out of that dark place. My daughter tried, my sister tried, lots of people tried, Steve tried, lots of people tried. You're not going to step out of that darkness until you're ready. But you always got to know there's lots of people out here that are willing to help you. You just have to reach out of that darkness. You don't have to make the journey on your own.
Well, there's always somebody out there willing to listen.
It's hard for some people to accept that they need the help because they see it as weakness. But it just, if you're not used to needing help and suddenly you need it, it's a sad fact of life. But and the journey that you go through, not everybody goes through it at the same pace. Like if you see Jerry doing something you can't do, it doesn't mean you'll never be able to do it. It means, you know, he got there in whatever time it took him. It's mental and physical. But I'll throw it back.
Well, that's like the scroll saw and using the scroll saw backwards. There's been several of people in the Hangouts watching me use it, and there's even been a few that have audibly low-key rejected the fact that I was going to use the saw that way. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. They weren't going to say, no, don't do that. But they're like, you know, because they couldn't ever picture themselves using a saw like that.
Yep.
But
Mark said sound like to me you're saying you just got to want it.
Well, you do have to want it. But see, that's just it. When your noodle's scrambled, it's hard to know to reach out. But when you're sitting there, okay, for me, I can't speak for anybody else. Let me just make that clear. I can't speak for anybody but myself. But I've talked to people like Herb and lots of other people that I know that have a lot of the issues I have. And I can low-key talk for them because they have the same issues. So when you want that drink and you can't communicate that you want that drink and the words just won't come no matter what, you can sit there and just be frustrated over it, or you can try another approach. Maybe that approach is go get the drink yourself. You know what I mean? The other part of that is when somebody does offer you a drink, if you can get it in your head to make the same noise or the same motion every time, the people around you will start to understand, hey, when he does this, he's hungry or he's thirsty. Or so then you've opened up a form of communication to a degree, or it did for me. My daughter's trying to.
Sorry.
She's trying to mess me up over here. Sunglasses. For a long time, I called them bananas. But to me, when I said banana, I heard sunglasses. I can't explain it. To them, everybody heard bananas. To me, I heard sunglasses. That's what they are. That's what I said. And I'm upset with you that you do not understand English. But the problem was me.
Were you talking about I'm upset that you didn't understand what I meant or what I said? That is a way to point to even those trying to help have to have a degree of patience, because unless you can relate, it's a learning process for the one trying to help as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I can't sit here and tell you that my daughter didn't lose her cool with me every once in a while. but I have a very loving and caring daughter. She would get upset, but she would always work through it with me. And she, because I've raised her, she knows me so well that growing up, we did hand signals over loud equipment and machines and things. We did hand signals with each other for so many years with her growing up that my little way of charades wasn't a far stretch for her. But, I mean, bananas threw her into left field. But see, when they would say bananas to me, I was like, what is wrong with you? You know, because when they'd say it to me, I would hear banana. And I know what a banana is. But when I'd say banana to them, I was hearing sunglasses. Hard to explain. But that was a real big hurdle for me, is like my nucleazer. See, I can't. What is it?
Inoculator, it's a nebulizer. Your inhaler is your inoculator.
My inhaler, my inoculator. Well, what is it?
Nebulizer.
Your
Inhaler.
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 For what it's worth, Jerry, it's slightly hard to hear Amanda. If you want.
Well, that's she's not meant to be heard.
Okay,
really.
sure.
I was trying to get her to tell me, but I couldn't.
All right.
Anyway, there's still things like that I still get tripped up over. I had my own version of the days of the week. I got really aggravated with everybody around me for a while because I thought that they had like all colluded somehow against me, trying to convince me of some weird days of the week that they had dreamt up. I had the song. I'm not allowed to sing it, or I would, because if I do, then I have to learn the days of the week again. But I couldn't understand money. I got really aggravated with my daughter a lot over the fact that, you know, she would try to explain to me that this $100 bill is worth more than this $5 bill. And in my mind, no way on earth is that 5 less than that 1, because zeros didn't matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to tell time, it was crazy.
Mark Lindsay is treading dangerous waters. He said, "Hear that, Amanda? You're not meant to be heard."
Now, the biggest thing I've noticed, coming out of the darkness and going into the light, is a bunch of small steps, and it's a bunch of small victories.
Yeah.
And
to
the
walk your way through.
The word Steve just used inspired that logo above his head.
What's that?
The walking into the light, the logo.
That logo came from Gary.
Yeah.
Those words came from Gary.
Yeah.
That all of that, coming out of the darkness into the light, living beyond disability, all of that's me. That's my story. But it's everybody's story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, if get into a really hot topic that I've actually gotten into being in some disability forums is the difference between somebody that was born disabled and somebody that became instantly disabled somewhere along their life. And you know, you have the debate over, well, somebody that's born like that, they adapted a whole lot easier than somebody that just gets their life disrupted. I kind of take issue with that to some degree, because just because you were born with a disability and you learn to live with that disability over a period of time, you didn't have that opportunity in life to learn rational thought, problem solving, all these other things before the disability hit. So I think somebody that was born that way is at more of a disadvantage than somebody that gets struck like me, because I may have a lot of memory loss about things, but electronics is a good example. I used to be pretty decent in electronics. I used to be able to fix all kinds of stuff. I know I did because I got the pictures to prove it. I've got little videos to prove me fixing things. But I look at this stuff and I'm like, yeah, what is that weird looking little thing? I don't even know what it is. And I have like tons of electronic stuff. I don't remember what it is. But when I start messing with it and looking around on, like, just say Google, and figuring out what it is, then things start to click a little bit more. So this is going to be part of my journey. We're going to see just how long will it take before I get the basics back, or will I get the basics back, or will I have to relearn it? And I think every one of those is going to be true.
And that goes back to what you, sorry.
I think some of it will come back. A lot of it's going to be relearning, and there's definitely going to be relearning how to do things I used to do with two capable hands.
Yeah, I think that goes back and feeds into what you were calling the advantage of not being born that way. You know what you were capable of, and that's kind of playing into your goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I look at stuff and I remember things. It's not like I have a total memory loss, but I look at things that I've built in the pictures and videos of things that I built, and it's like, I don't know that I would be so gung-ho to jump into it like I was back then, because of, I do remember how I used to be. I would be thinking of 30 different things at one time while doing 3 different things. It was like always doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm at the beach moving houses, and meanwhile in the background we're trying to start a media company, and I have a garage that is still working. So I had a lot going on, but that's where I was comfortable. I couldn't not even fathom right now if somebody said, hey, can you move this house for me? Well, yeah, physically, no, I can't. Not now. But in a supervisory capacity, could I go have that done? Could I go do that? I feel like I should have every confidence in the world that I could. But I don't know that I really could. You know what I mean? I would be too nervous that I don't remember everything that I knew. And you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it.
Well, that's, and I think that's what you're saying, is that's part of you building back your confidence. Because you were confident back then of your abilities. Yeah, it's still a learning process.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, if you'd have said, hey, I would like to have a ladder that goes to the moon, if you had enough money, I'd figure out a way to make it happen. And I wouldn't tell you, no, it wasn't possible. I didn't believe that anything was possible. And that's really true. Anything is possible.
Well, in your case, you have the added traumatic injury that changed. So you didn't just physically you don't have just a physical disability to deal with. You have to relearn the mental part of it from what you did before.
And Mark made a very, very impactful comment. If you read into it, it's now a different reality. It's all been reality, but it's a different one.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, this is like one of the things that I've said in these hangouts is like, to see somebody go on Facebook and complain, this is ridiculous. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Well, or 2 steps forward, 1 step back. If it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, stop whining, because it's still forward progress.
Mm-hmm.
If you're taking 2 steps forward and 10 steps back, guess what? Stop whining. It is still progress. It's just progress in the wrong direction. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I
remind myself of that daily.
So when you find yourself making progress, but in the opposite direction of your desire, it's time to stop trying to reach that goal the way you've been trying, because it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you can't get there. That means that you have stepped yourself back. So now look at the journey and find a different direction.
Turn around backwards.
And eventually you will figure out, you'll figure out a path.
See it as a future victory, not a failure. Welcome back, Herb.
Well, let's
Sorry about that.
let's look at it in another light, okay? If you have no physical disability, no matter, let's just use any modern day general practice doctor's office. If you are physically able, it's easy to go right into the doctor's office. If you're physically disabled, I'm going to sit here and tell you it's still really easy to get into your doctor's office. The difference is if you're abled, it's a very short path to get there. If you're disabled, means there's more distance you have to travel to get to the same destination. But that same destination is always possible. Your disability just added a little distance to your destination. That's it.
I got a question for you, Jerry, and it's more to the point of you saying when you have to relearn things, like the electronics and stuff. From the time you had all this happen and you got this disability, and you figured out that you had to relearn some things that you used to be able to do, have you at any point since then lost that learning, had to relearn it again? Does it leave you once you relearned it?
Oh,
with that?
that's a really good question.
That's a very good question.
Okay, I shot my load, buddy. I'm done.
Short-term memory loss, I think, is what he's referring to.
Yeah.
If it leaves you, then you have to constantly relearn. That'd be a little different.
I actually, believe it or not, not going to share the two things, but there's two things that happen to me in my life every day that it's like Groundhog's Day. Every day I have to learn it again because I forget from day to day, every day. And this has been going on for a year and a half. It will not stick in my head. And it's every day the same thing. God, why can't I remember that? I'm going to remember tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and it's like, what? I just don't get, and a year and a half later, I just like when I forget and I remember, it's like, okay, it's just the way it is now.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is some things, believe it or not, I've always denied it. My daughter's always tried to be an advocate for it, but I used to be able to draw pretty good. I can't draw a stick now. Well, I can't. Yeah, I can draw a pretty good stick because there's nothing straight about that. But I couldn't follow a straight line right now trying to draw it. You know what I mean? So I thought that at one point that was one of the first things I did, doodling around and stuff, because I would have these ideas pop in my head, and it was like, this idea feels so familiar and yet so confusing. And it was things that I was working on before it happened, but I wasn't getting the full picture, just bits and pieces. So I wanted to try to put this stuff down on paper. So that'll be one of our lives one night. It'll be, guess the sketch. It's like, because some of this stuff I look at it and be like,
that's the thing I was just thinking when you started talking about that. You knew what you were putting on the paper when you put it there, but would anybody else be able to figure out what it was?
That's like Pictionary. Some people got it.
I can't. I'll be talking to Steve because we hang out on a regular basis, like pretty much daily, unless I'm not feeling well. And I forgot. See, I lost.
You were talking about your drawings and trying to. You were talking about how you point them out to me.
I'd be talking to Steve, and I'll be trying to describe something that I've thought of, and I'm over here doodling pictures of it and stuff, but I don't show him the pictures that I've doodled. I've just explained it to him, and then a week later I'll run across it and I'll look at it and I'll be like, do you remember what this was? And he'll look at it and he's like, turn it the other way. And it's like, so we're like, yeah, no idea. Looks kind of like, I don't know.
Now, what are you?
I don't know. Looks like a jumping jack. Was I trying to make a bionic foot and leg there? I don't know.
I'm a little biased here because I can only relate to the mental side, but so many people on Earth see somebody in a wheelchair, and that's what they see as disability. But there are so many freaking levels, and I'm sorry, I'm passionate about this. This is why I felt the need to say something. You have the mental and physical journey you're on, and I'm 51 years old from the day of birth. It's still a daily journey to learn how to cope, to fight. You have your strong days and your weak days. And I'm sorry if I went too far off on a tangent, but you started out talking about your physical limitations, and now you're talking about the mental limitations. And just reminds me, it never ends necessarily for everybody, because it's still a learning process, and sometimes it takes, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. I've dealt with mental issues for a very, very long time, and I can honestly tell you, before the physical disability, I never one time let those mental, well, no, I'm lying when I say that. I did have times where I would barricade myself in the house and wouldn't leave, but that goes a little deeper. But for the most part, I never let my mental state stop me from moving forward because I was physically able to. Right? So now I'm not physically able to and still have the mental issue. I have to prioritize. I can't, I don't know how to really explain it, because being where I was just a year ago mentally and where I am right now, I can tell you what I've done for myself in my own thinking or lack of thinking. Have been able to do more for myself in the last year than the last 25 years or better of having therapists and stuff try to help me. Nobody can help you when it's all upstairs.
And a lot of money.
And this is one of these things where, everybody cries, well, if you're having a mental whatever, reach out to somebody. Well, I got news for you. When I'm having a mental whatever, if I'm reaching out for somebody, you better hope you can walk away with your teeth, because that's where I've gone to. So you have to be the one to gain control of that. And it's like I've told you before, and the saying actually comes from, I'm not 100% sure if it's Alcoholics Anonymous or Al-Anon, I'm not sure which one of those it comes from, but the saying is, don't let people rent space in your head for free. And that same thing goes for inanimate objects, anything. If you're letting it rent space in your head and you're letting it bother you, then that means you have given it some kind of value, right? So if it's valuable to you, then you need to address it. If
you're capable.
Well, we're not even at that point.
Well, agreed. I mean,
okay, look, no, wait a minute. Let's just go ahead, Charles, because I know every time we get into any kind of discussion about disability, because your whole passion is the mental disability. I get that. You don't have a physical disability, and God hope that you don't. But you also have to understand there's a difference between having mental issues where we're safe to be out here in society and being somebody that is so out there that they can't even collect a rational thought. Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking, that's not disabled. Okay. That's, they've already fell off the disabled chart. I don't know what chart they're on. You know what I mean? There's a difference. So if you've not fallen off that disabled chart, then you do have the mental capacity to fix yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody else can. No amount of talking to anybody, no amount of anybody trying to, and I'll use you and me as an example here. I don't want somebody telling me that this is the way I need to look at things, or this is the way I need to handle this, any more than you do. You don't want anybody telling you, like me, you gotta just suck it up, buttercup. And that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is not at all what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's an easy journey at any cost. It's still an endless journey. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to give you the key to win the war. I'm trying to give you a key to win one little battle. Just one little battle.
Yeah.
And the key to winning one little battle is to stop letting useless things rent space in your head for free. Right? So if you have a bunch of useless things renting space in your head for free, that space you could have used for rational thought to handle things that really mattered. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's learning to not let that space is what I meant was the journey, part of my journey. Because I can have my moments where I'm on top of the world, I can conquer everything. It's just a fluctuating thing, but I don't want to make this show about me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's the same thing of what I just said a minute ago. 1 minute I could be your very best friend, and I can be with my daughter rebuilding the front porch on some elderly people's house because they need it and nobody will help them out. And on the way to go get supplies to help these sweet people, I take the teeth out of 3 people that looked at me wrong in Lowe's, just because my mood shifted that quick. And it was all because I was letting things rent space in my head for free. The traumatic brain injury gave me the ability to not care about some of it, because some of it I don't remember. So that freed me a little bit, but just a good example. Let's just take the history of how we all know each other. We've been in the maker community a long time. We've all used to be in private hangouts together. We've all been on multiple shows across the community. You know, we've known each other a long time, most of us. And I don't know where I was going.
I don't know where you were going with that one either.
What was the last thing that I said?
Known each other a long time.
How known
No.
each other along
No,
before that.
The last valid point.
I don't know. Admittedly, my mind is racing, so I'm having trouble focusing on.
I lost this one. Let's see.
Oh, good example. We've known each other a long time, and we've seen these little cliques of people that have popped up and come and gone, and you're friends with people today, and then somebody in this little clique doesn't like you. Now nobody likes you, and you let these little things rent space in your head in the form of anger or the form of, I don't want people to think that about me, or worried about just that, you know, your public perception, or how, whatever. In any way, shape, or form you want to look at that, you're letting that one stupid little thing rent space in your head. And all these little things like that are renting space start to stack up, right? It's just like magnets. If you take each one of these little tiny things and make it a very small neodymium magnet, if you just start your day off, and somebody pissed me off in a YouTube comment, okay, here's a magnet, because that's renting space in my head now, because I'm going to think about it off and on all day. And then, well, here comes that damn Jerry. I didn't like what he said. There's another magnet. And you know what I'm saying? So by the time you get halfway through the day or the end of the day, you've got a big ball of magnets, and they're literally scattered and going in every which direction. So now everything around it that's metal is going to get attracted to it. And if you use that analogy of these magnets being your little problems you stacking together, they start to drag your reality into it. And that's where you have the lashing out and the, I don't know what triggered me. And I go through this myself. I still do. But I have to try to ground myself and remember none of it matters. It's like what I'm doing right now. That's why I'm doing it finally, because I had to come to terms, and you've watched me battle this for over a month. I had to finally come to terms that what people think about me out here doesn't really matter. I'm going to tell my story, and that's it.
I think everybody on the panel, and I hate to keep making this about me, everybody on the panel, you were talking about Groundhog Day earlier. It's like I can teach myself to make the world my B word. And then other days, I'm this little wimpy chihuahua behind a fence. I wonder if that's my Groundhog Day. Because I've had y'all have all seen me fluctuate since y'all have known me. And I'm not saying, woe is me. I'm saying maybe that's my Groundhog Day.
But okay. When it comes to the mental health thing, I'm going to tell you straight up, because I know personally, a lot of that roller coaster comes from the medications they put on to try to help your original problem. What was your original problem?
Well, it was diagnosed as panic disorder, but I don't.
Okay, so, and I'll agree, because I have the same issue. So to try to treat the panic disorder, they put you on medicines that make you literally ride this unruly roller coaster every day. Every day. So you swap what you think is swap panic attacks for this roller coaster. But guess what? The panic attacks still come every once in a while in the midst of this roller coaster. And then they change how the roller coaster ride is. So I took myself off of all the medicines.
And you still got to be human throughout all that roller coaster crap, trying to maintain what you thought you learned. And then that next swoop was one you weren't ready for. I don't know. It's so hard to put into words.
Right. But if you come back to what I just said again, and you make the tracks to that roller coaster the problems of your day, every little thing you stick under that track as a problem makes that roller coaster more and more bumpy, right? Yep. The higher you stack it up here, the deeper that drop is. If you make a conscious decision, like I can sit here and say it's easier to tell you than it is to do it, but I'm doing it. So no, it's really not. It's as easy as it is to say it. You just have to want it. I lost where I was going because I just picked up where I was at a little while ago. The whole wanting it. When I said, if you want the drink and you can't communicate, try going and get it yourself. If you don't want that drink, you're never going to get that drink. Unless somebody around you gives you that drink, right? It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Well, you're a horse that would like to go to water, but nobody's going to lead you there if you can't lead yourself. You know what I mean? They can't. I know that was a weird analogy, but if you can't make the effort to get there and make an honest decision in your mind that, okay, look, I am no longer just going to flash react to everything put in front of me, because I was already very bad for that. And after this, I became horrible about it. And a lot of times it was people would say things to me and it didn't register in my brain correctly, and I've already reacted. And most of the time, very nastily.
The only analogy I can think of in relation to a horse is kind of like, yes, the goal is if you fall off the horse, get back on. But and this sounds like I'm being a defeatist, but I don't mean it that way. But if you keep falling off that horse, you start questioning your ways of getting back on that horse. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and
that's a personal battle.
This comes right back to what I've been saying for the last, I don't know, half hour. If you're on this horse and you fall off, if your first reaction to falling off this horse is, damn, I got to get back on it, then you shouldn't be on that horse yet, because you don't even have the mentality to be on that horse yet. If you're on that horse and you fall off and you do whatever you have to get right back on that horse, because the goal is to be on that horse, it doesn't matter how many times you fall off. If you can't put the goal of staying on that horse first and foremost, and the horse being your mental health, if you can't put that first and foremost, and all you can see is that goal just being too hard to reach. You know, if I would have accepted that, as far as like just using this, if the first time I used this and about took my whole left hand off with it and cut myself with it because I couldn't stop it from spinning and freaked out, or couldn't stop it from going and freaked out, and was literally stabbing myself with the blade of it, it would have been very easy to look back at that horse and go, holy shit, I'm not getting back on there. Why would I want to get back on there? Every time I do, I get hurt. I wouldn't be where I am now. This room wouldn't be where it is.
the back and forth that me and Jerry are having right now, I really want y'all to focus on that because it's further proof everybody's journey is different. He's trying to help me. I'm trying to help me. I fall. And, the confidence levels fluctuate for me, especially. But that's perfect example. Some people can do it at a certain pace and other people take a hell of a lot longer or a little bit longer. So, I mean, every time me and Jerry talk, he's trying to help.
Well, I want to help you, but I want to help other people. And even Mark's over here in the chat, he's saying, see, now the roller coaster analogy is one I can understand. I've never been there, but I understood that. That's, if I could make somebody that's never been there understand that, then somebody that is there should definitely be able to understand what I'm saying. You have to make the decision that you are not going to collect a magnet for every encounter of your day. And then until you can, if you literally do that, you just take that as an analogy, and everything that faces you that day that you have some form of reaction to, you look at it as being a magnet. Do I really want to pick that up? Because the more of these I pick up, the more of my world I'm going to drag into this cluster of shit.
Yeah. And
if you think about
that is a daily battle.
But if you think about that in that analogy, well, let's look at it in another way, okay? If literally do this, get yourself 3 or 4 rolls of pennies or a jar of pennies. Everything you react to that day, you have to pick up a penny and put it in your pocket. If you can't let it go, you have to carry it. Eventually, you will start weighing out the worth of each interaction you have. And you will literally mentally train yourself to stop gut reacting to everything and lashing out, because you're lashing out as a defense mechanism because you can't process fast enough what's going on. So I'm just going to lash out or insult you or make you mad and run away until I can process what just happened.
Yeah.
So I've learned to slow myself down. I promise you, if you pick up a penny for every problem that you're going to carry, and you have to carry that penny with you while you sleep, everywhere you go, until you're ready to put that problem down, then you can put that penny down. You keep carrying it. I promise you, you'll learn to start putting more value in your encounters day by day. And you'll learn that a lot of encounters aren't even worth picking that penny up for. I'm letting this weigh on me for what?
I guess what I'm saying is that ability is where not everybody's the same. It doesn't mean nobody's capable. It means it's easier for some than others. Because clearly, if I still struggle with it daily, I'm at a different level, but not better or worse than anybody else.
No, but from somebody that struggles with a lot of the issues that you have, I'm telling you, after pulling myself from where you are right now, the first thing you've got to stop doing is looking at this horse like some major damn hurdle to your goal. You just got to keep getting back on it.
Agreed. But I think that's part of my disability. That's not a cop-out. That's the honest, sincere truth.
Okay, but do you hear what you're saying? Does everybody else hear what he's saying? And I'm not putting you down. I'm trying to prove something here. Does everybody else hear what he's saying? Every time I try to give him a positive way to look at it, he comes back at me with why it is this way, right? Mm-hmm. Not one time in any of this interaction have you said, that's right, I try to put these here, but I struggle. That's not what you say. What you say is, it's just happened so long now. It's just the way that it is. It's part of my disability. You've succumbed to it. Now you have to realize that you succumbed to it and decide you want better from that and just claw and dig your way out of there.
That was why I brought it up, is because I know I succumbed to it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first step. You've got to, you literally got to, you have to want it, you know? For me, it was, I didn't want somebody to have to go get my food all the time. Well, I proved I can feed myself, but I also proved I shouldn't be feeding myself. You know what I mean? I can go in here and cook whatever I want to. After I'm done eating it, you can patch up my 12 third-degree burns that I created while I made this hamburger. You know, but yes, I can. Does it make sense? Not really. And I've kind of gotten over the fact that my kids fix my meals. And in all fairness, it's usually they fix me one meal a day because that's the only time that they're actually home when I'm awake, right? So the rest of it's on me. And because it's such a pain, I choose to not eat because everything's a pain. So that's not their fault. That's not the doctor's fault. That's not my body's fault. That's my fault. So the only way that can change is if I change it. So I'm trying to do better about that. Same thing with not sleeping. I mean, I go for days without sleeping. I was in here till, I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock this morning talking with Charles in the hangout. We left there, and then I sat here and played games and watched videos and other stuff and went and laid down for a couple hours and got back up. I need to start doing better. My body needs to rest. Even if my brain's not resting, I need to take a tablet and go lay down or something and give my body a break. Where did you go, Charles?
It's back to finding another path. Even your eating is another path. Yeah, they make your meal a day, but you instead of saying, "Oh, I'm not going to eat," just find what's easy to eat in those times when they aren't there. Find another path.
You asked where I went, Jerry. I'm having inner battles right now, trying to deal with them. That's the only words I can find to describe it.
Well, it's not going to be any good if being here is just going to upset you. That's not the purpose.
That's about getting back on the horse. I need to get over it. That's
and I'm not trying to in no way, shape, or form be a jerk.
I know you're not. That's why I'm making myself deal with it, because logic says this is all for good. I'm still a learning process, and I'm trying to work through it. Is why I'm still here.
I have a very, very long way to go.
So do I.
and honestly, do I think I'll ever be? I will never be anything close to who I was, but that doesn't have to define who I am today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I am more distracted today than I ever have been in any of our discussions by my own battles. And I don't know why that is. But I'm only being honest because I've never hidden myself from y'all.
I can give you insight into this. It's the same reality that shook me up. I struck a nerve that is raw and you don't like it, but now you're making that decision to face it.
Yeah, and
it's the very first step.
What the battle is, and this is just me voicing it. For no logical reason, I felt my temper rising, and it didn't have to. There's no reason, no logical reason for it.
Right.
So I'm telling myself, what the hell's wrong with you? Get a grip. That's why I'm still here. Because if I went back to my old ways of snapping or just running off, it wouldn't be dealing with it. I'd be copping out. That's me trying to. I'm telling you, it literally every day.
And I commend you for that.
Yeah,
that just comes right back to the penny or the magnet. That was a penny you just chose not to pick up.
Yeah, but I got a whole mountain of them I got to get rid of.
But you got to start one penny at a time, right? The beginning of $1 is a penny.
Yeah, and it's going to keep being that 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Although it's progress, my progress fluctuates, and I'm dealing with that right now. But the only reason I answered that is because you wanted to know, and part of our journey as a panel is to be out there for people to relate, because there's no reason for me to be in such chaos in my head right now. But it just happens, and sometimes I can fight right through it, sometimes I can't. So that's still a thing I'm learning. And I've not resented consciously anything you told me tonight, but for no reason whatsoever, my temper started to build. It might be a defense coping, whatever thing, but I don't resent you in any way, shape, or form, or I wouldn't be here right now.
I
So
get
I
that.
want to make that clear. Okay, so we're good.
If you look at the analogy of 2 steps forward and 1 step back, you're always making 1 step forward.
Agreed.
And you got to start with that. You got to start with that first battle. I mean, you got to start with that very first penny. You know,
That's
I
why
mean,
I'm still
let's look at it another way. When you cross, when you're going across the parking lot and you look down, you see a penny laying down there. Do you automatically pick it up, or do you look to see if it's heads up or tails up? And does that matter to you?
I pick it up and it's a penny. Every little bit helps. There's so much analogy and realism in that answer. It's not even funny. I'm close to the point of tears because I'm realizing how human I am every freaking day. Some days I can kick it right in the mouth. Other days I can't think of the words. And I don't know how this show turned into me analyzing me, but it means I'm paying attention, I guess.
Because every show you're on is about you.
Oh, bloody hell.
Finally, the truth is out.
I'm opening it's such a journey for me, and words are not my friend. Y'all have heard
Look,
me.
Mark even said amen over there.
Y'all have heard me to try to talk. I can't always find the words. I'm finding out how human I am right now and how imperfect of a human I am, which obviously I never thought I was perfect. Reality is slapping me in the face right now, and I'm trying to just deal with that.
Well, see, Mark, you're pretty close to where I was with it. If I would find change that was heads up, I put it in my pocket and it ended up in my change jar. If I picked it up and it was tails up, it went in my left pocket. In the first store I went to, I threw it in the need a penny, take a penny container.
Is that an OCD or superstition?
Just stupid superstition. Pass that bad luck on to somebody else.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, really, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with superstition, actually. It did have a lot to do with the way that I was raised. And it was like, if it's heads up, it's yours. If it's tails up, you give it to somebody that needs it.
I didn't feel any of this coming on until the show, and that it's a really strange reality for me right now. So I apologize if it's screwing up the show in any way. I didn't know it was going to happen.
I missed something.
And I don't know how to word it any better. So if anybody can decipher what I just said, feel free. Otherwise, you do you, boo.
Are you starting menopause or what? What are you talking about? I'm confused.
I'm confused too. I don't know how else to word it, Jerry. Seriously. I'm not trying to be a Abbott Costello here, I promise.
Not Chinese finger torture, right?
Bloody hell. Long story.
I'll be nice enough, but I'll be nice enough put the roving banner up from last night.
Can anybody decipher what I said? Because I don't even remember half of what I just said.
I don't know. I think the only thing I heard you say was how much you loved me and appreciated me, and you try to do better. I don't know. That's what I heard. What did you say? I don't know.
I don't remember. Like I said, my mind is racing a lot tonight.
There again, that is a big ass jar of change you're spinning around right now. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it. It's a big ass jar of change. And sometimes you just got to put the lid back on that jar for a little while because you just can't. And I get that. But at some point in time, that's another scenario that has really, really helped me. And I think Steve can vouch for this. I have a very bad temper. And in the last year, I've really calmed my temper. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I can laugh at myself a little more now. And I don't know. I just lost it again. See, this is one of my big struggles right here is losing what I'm saying in the middle of saying it.
And I'm going through the same thing. I when you asked what I was doing, I was writing to Steve Nealon on Facebook for help. Because I'm losing control and I don't know why.
Well, I don't want you to lose control.
Well, right now I'm good. That was me trying to reach out to get a grip on myself, so to speak.
There you go. Mark says, take that change down to the bank, cash it in, go out for lunch.
Going out, that's a whole nother battle. But
I was going to say, and remember, everybody has different battles. Some physical, some mental.
And me and Jerry can vouch for that, in that we get frustrated by each other's battles trying to help the other one get through it. Does that make any sense?
Yes,
And
it
can you
does.
vouch for me? Can you back me up on that, Jerry?
Yeah, for the most part, but I think I have one more battle than you have, and that's the battle to get you to understand that we're battling the same thing.
Agreed, but we're at different levels of that battle, and I think that's frustrating.
We're still fighting the same war, and you're trying to put us in two different eras fighting the same war.
Well, we're on the same war, but we're not at the same level of struggle. It's so hard to explain.
No, you're exactly right. We're not at the same levels of the struggle. But everything I'm telling you is the fundamentals of the struggle. It doesn't matter what level you're on. It's still the fundamentals of the struggle, right? I mean, it has to come from within us. We have to want it. And sometimes, no matter how bad we want it, we still can't seem to get there. I mean, it's the same thing of what you've seen me try to do here. But I hope this proves something to me, to you, that you watched me battle with actually doing this very first live.
Yeah.
You watched me battle with it. And you even tried to encourage me, which caused me to get upset with you.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. There's going to be ups and downs for all of us.
You're missing my point. I'm here.
Yeah.
The show's happening.
I thought that spoke for itself. But
because I chose not to pick that quarter up and worry about where to start and who cares about who needs this input.
And with the emotions I went through, I'm still here. So I didn't pick up the quarter either. So we're on the same page.
With the emotions that I went through, you're still here. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I know you stayed, but I mean, I could have thrown you out.
Agreed. We're both fighting battles. I'm telling you, we're.
But I'm not there. I'm not upset about anything at all. You just got to do you. You know, you got to do you. I can sit here and tell you, I'm not telling you how to do anything. I'm not telling anybody how to do anything. I'm telling you how I got from where you are to where I am today. And if you want to try that, that's on you. If you don't want to try that, that's your choice. It's on you. You know? And I don't mean just you. I mean anybody. If you don't want to take the scenario I gave you and break it down as simple as that, and literally choose whether or not you want to pick up that penny for every scenario that you triggered on that day. If you don't want to learn to break it down that way, then figure out another way to deal with it. But it literally comes down to just that. Everything that you react to on a daily basis, you have to give some kind of weight or merit to. You either have to give it none or you have to give it all, because it's just the way the brain works. So if you're going to pick up all these things, then you just have to ride this giant roller coaster that you've decided to build all day long. Or you can choose consciously to not give so many things so much merit and so much weight. And at the end of the day, you can cruise right on into the next day on a smooth sail. If not, you're riding this roller coaster all the way into the beginning of the very next day. Does that make sense? I mean, it's still the analogy is still the same. The basic principles of what's wrong is still the same. Put any analogy you want to it. It's still the bare basic principles of it. And until we as people can choose to make that conscious decision to give everything we react to some form of value, then we can never see just how big that stack of crap is. When you start giving every single thing value and collecting it, where you physically can see the amount of crap you've collected today, tomorrow will be a little easier because you won't want to carry all that crap from yesterday and what you're picking up today. And eventually you'll end up with a big sack of crap you're dragging around, and you'll start being like, okay, I'm going to let this go because it just don't matter to me. And I don't even know why I let these bother me. And the next thing you know, you're back down to a handful of shit you can carry in your hand.
Yeah, and one thing I think we've all witnessed, and I'm finding in myself, there are times I do reach that goal. I think, and I'm analyzing as I'm saying it, consistently reaching that goal, I think, is my problem. The fact that it's so back and forth.
Yeah, but see, what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to tell you is, don't lose sight of your goal, but quit focusing on the goal. That's the problem. You're focusing on the goal, so every hurdle that you have in between becomes every hurdle that you have in between. I don't even know what I was saying.
Like I say, sometimes instead of getting back on the horse, you've got to choose a different path. Maybe walk it for a few steps until you can get back on the horse.
I know what I was saying. You got to stop focusing so hard on the prize at the end or the goal, because you keep tripping over the initial hurdles. So at some point in time, instead of focusing way out there at the goal, you got to start focusing at this hurdle that's in front of you, or you're never going to reach that goal because you're going to keep tripping over this hurdle every time you try to cross it.
You know what the biggest hurdle is?
Huh?
The biggest hurdle is myself.
It's still a hurdle. The analogy still works. So you need to make up your mind how many of these hurdles you want in your path all day long. And only you can do that. Nobody can do that for you. There's no magic pill that's been made that's going to do that for you. There's not a person alive that can zap it into your brain or hand it to you or talk you into fixing it.
I'm not saying somebody has to fix it. I'm saying I'm in my own way. I have to learn to do it and do it consistently. And I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm saying the reason why my temper keeps fluctuating is I feel attacked for that weakness. And I know you're not attacking me. I'm just saying how it feels.
No, but see, I'm aggravated on the other end of that because I'm trying to break it down to a simple term.
It's not that simple.
Yeah, it is that simple, but you refuse to see it.
I don't refuse to see it. I wouldn't be here.
It's the analogy that you're refusing to see is what I'm saying. You understand?
We have the same battle, but we're two different people at two different levels.
I don't care at what level in the battle you're at. The battle still has hurdles, right? And we choose, we choose, no matter who you are, we choose to put those hurdles in front of us. And then until you choose, and then when I say you, I mean me, you, him, anybody. I'm not, when I'm saying you, I'm not directing it at you. I mean, in general, you. That may be a problem we're having right here. I didn't realize I was doing that. I don't mean you. I'm not directing this at you. We as people choose to put these hurdles in front of us. We as people are the only ones that have the ability to remove those hurdles, because the other people around us are just going to keep throwing more hurdles in front of us. And
ability
we have
is a good word there. That's another struggle. But
what?
Ability, the word you used, ability, that's another one of my struggles.
Stability?
Ability.
Ability.
Yeah. Because a hurdle you're supposed to be able to jump over. A hurdle shouldn't be an obstacle. For me, they tend to turn into obstacles because of me. I'm my own worst enemy, and I know.
There you go. Now maybe we're breaking through some ground here.
I've been there the whole time. I just suck at words.
No, stop. Just please stop for a second. You said the problem is the ability, that the hurdle's there. You're aware of the hurdle. You just don't have the ability to get over it. That's what you're saying, right?
Consistently, yes.
Herb, I've got to mute you, dude, because it's like hurricane force winds. What did you do?
I didn't realize it fell.
Oh, so
Mark Lindsay
what?
asked a question. He said, Mark Lindsay asked, could some of that inconsistency be the medication that you're taking?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier.
that's what you were
that I
saying
think-
earlier, but it makes me wonder, why is it suddenly, well, I'd say suddenly, but it's not sudden. Shit, I don't know.
Okay, but my point to being, you're saying that you hit these hurdles and you don't have the ability to get over the hurdle. And what I'm trying to explain to you is you don't have to have the ability to get over that hurdle when you have the ability to make that hurdle go away. It doesn't have to be in front of you. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Stop trying to conquer the hurdle. It's not working. So concentrate on just removing the hurdle. It's the same thing as the scenarios you react to. How much weight do you want to put into it? How big do you want to make this hurdle? Does it really have to be that big? Does it even need to really be there? These are choices you have to make. You know what I mean? And when I say you, I'm still talking about me or anybody. These are the choices we have to make.
Yeah.
When I'm saying you, this is just a brain thing, man. I'm not literally talking to you directly.
Yeah, it's the consistently being able to do that, because I've seen me conquer. I've seen me ignore the hurdle, get rid of the hurdle. It's so, I can't think of the words tonight, but it's consistency. Wait, and I don't know why that the methods don't work.
And I come right back to the same thing I said in the very beginning and what Mark's asking about over here. You're never gonna that medication. In my case, a lot of the medication that they felt successful with, because it was stopping one symptom, even though I'm trying to explain to them I got 10 new symptoms, they don't care. They solved the original complaint. So now let's throw some medicine at some of these other complaints he has now. And it's like, at what point do you say enough's enough when I'm literally can't hold all the pills that I need to take in one hand, and it's literally 2 scoopfuls of pills that I need to take just to get from the time that I open my eyes to the time that I close my eyes.
Now, I'm being sarcastic here, Jerry, but didn't you know they went to school and they know more than we do?
Yeah, well, one of the smartest doctors I know, my doctor, straight up said, nobody knows me better than me. When something's not right with me, I should know better than they do.
The doctor should listen.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. And that's kind of how we got to the end of where I'm at right now, was standing my ground on, hey, I should not be feeling like I'm being hit by a lightning bolt there's something wrong, and they're like, we can't find anything.
Exactly, Mark.
It's all
Yeah.
in your brain.
Exactly. They treat the numbers, not the patient. Is what Mark
Right.
said.
Well,
Jerry, I'm slowly. This is to everybody. Jerry's channel is why I keep saying Jerry's name.
Take your time and get it out.
I'm going backwards. I almost feel like I need to be institutionalized. I'm losing it.
well,
And I didn't feel it until tonight. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just something's happening to me. And I don't know what it is.
I can tell you from personal experience, if you feel like you need to be institutionalized, you really don't need to be. When you need to be institutionalized, you have no clue that you need to be institutionalized.
Now, have you seen enough of my live streams? A lot of people think I probably need to be institutionalized. That's me making fun of myself.
And see, that right there is, I understand that way more than you think I do, and I've tried to explain that to you too. The standing behind the jokes and the comedy and the comments and all that, that's just a way of hiding.
That's
And
me.
and I know that.
That's me trying to lighten the tension that I brought on myself by bringing it up.
Yeah, but it's a defense mechanism.
I know this.
And everybody has different ways of coping. You fight the hurdle. Jerry tries to get rid of the hurdle. I just go around the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I've got some hurdles that I can't remove and I can't go over, so I'm gonna build a way to get over the damn thing.
Understood. Everybody has their own way of coping with the things in front of them.
Yeah.
And I used to be a lot more like Jerry than I care to admit.
That was Steve just put it in a nutshell what I've been trying coping. Some are better at it than others. I know it's easy to say. You just got to.
Yeah, I'm not. But see, this is where I think the problem comes into every time you and I try to have a talk. Everything I did tonight was try to give you an analogy and a breakdown of what's going on. And you're taking it as I'm trying to teach you how to cope with the problem. So that's where the breakdown comes from. If you could stop thinking that I'm trying to tell you how to cope with the problem and look at the analogy I'm trying to give you, you can figure out your own way to cope with it.
Yeah.
You've got to stop that. That's the problem. And this time I am saying you do that with me all the time. When I try to give you analogies, you automatically take it as I'm trying to tell you what to do. And that's not at all what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to break the problem down into a way that I understood it, hoping that you could understand the basic principles of the problem.
Well, going back to your
Does that make sense?
Your original analogy of giving weight to the hurdles and like the pennies and stuff like that. Even myself, I like that analogy a lot because if you would have talked to my wife, she says I snap at the most ridiculous things,
right,
and stuff, and I get some things she'll do, and I don't have any problems at all, physically or mentally. And don't ask my wife about the mental part.
We don't have to ask her.
No, hell no, you already know what she'd say. But
we already formed our own opinions. But go ahead.
The part about giving weight to it, and whether to give weight to it or not, is something that anybody can use.
Yeah,
and that's a good analogy for anybody to use. It doesn't have to work just for people that are in a mental state. It's for anybody can use that.
Exactly.
And it would help if you could stop and sit and look at it and see that this really doesn't amount to anything.
See, I know
you let that go.
I know Jerry enough to know that his intentions are 99% of the time sincere.
Yeah.
But I still struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why.
The whole thing of what you were just talking about, Russ, if I would have formed this analogy years ago, it would have helped me immensely.
Yes.
If I would have looked at every situation that I react to all day long as a penny that I have to pick up and carry with me until I can no longer worry about this problem or I can let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I literally did that. And after having like $2.80 something in my pocket, I got tired of it.
Yeah.
And then the problem there was I wanted to get rid of it, but I couldn't remember all the reasons that I had the pennies.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant that I was carrying extra baggage for what?
Yeah.
If I couldn't even remember what they weren't that important, right?
Yeah.
What's Mark saying here? Mark says he found out there were two kinds of problems: my business and none of my business, and he's constantly amazed at how many of them are none of his business.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I'm catching a heck of a rainstorm out here, fellas. I'm probably going to lose power.
uh-oh.
So
Keep
I'm
it away
gonna-
from here, please. I'm sick of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I'm going to have to, I'll call it a night. And,
Send it to me.
yeah. I appreciate the show, man. It was enlightening.
Thank you for being here.
All right, y'all
Thanks
have a
for
good
being
one.
there, Russ.
Have a good night, Russ.
Have a good night, Russ.
Yeah, I mean, I have colitis. I have angina. I got all kinds of crap going on with me. But sometimes the biggest problem I have is shoulderus. I get shoulderus all the time. Oh, maybe I should. That's my way of saying my ass on my shoulders. Shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
I've been giving it a disease name.
Sounds like a backstage sound effect. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Mark,
I didn't want to confuse the show with too many people, so when Russ split, I figured, okay, I'll jump in.
This is
Are the 5 people that are watching us?
Quite possibly.
Well, I see people
Probably.
coming in and going.
Yeah, nobody else is talking except the 5 of us.
That's the benefit of this show is even if whether it's live or not, I think a lot of people are going to relate to different aspects of it.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean, these are the things that have worked for me, that have learned to calm me down. I mean, even when I met Mark back in the day in Atlanta, I'm pretty sure his first impressions of me were a little high strung.
I a little high strung, but I ascribed it to the 12-pack of Red Bull you were drinking per hour.
And believe it or not, that was what was keeping me from, at the time, from coming unglued. It was like my security blanket, I guess. I don't know. I wish I'd have known then what I know now. And I mean, the logic is the same, no matter whether you have a disability, don't have a disability. It doesn't matter whether it's business decisions, life decisions, family decisions. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything that you react to, you have to give some.
Red Bull you were drinking per hour.
Where'd that come from?
I don't
I'm
know.
trying to
Believe it
figure
or
out.
not, just keeping me from.
It ain't
I don't know
me.
how that happened.
not me.
No, it was over here.
God
was over
love you,
here.
Mark, but the first thing that shocked me was how short you are, and that's not a dig. I just wasn't prepared for it.
I got a picture of you and me together, and what got me was how tall you were.
I don't feel tall.
I'm 5'7".
You
I'm
and
used to being
David
the
Gunn
same
were
height.
both much shorter than I expected.
Yeah, well, all you little people shocked the hell out of me.
That's okay, though. See, I know I'm not descended from a bunch of big cave people that got eaten by the dinosaurs. I'm descended from the itty-bitty quick ones that made it back to the cave.
Yeah, but you know what? when you're the tall guy, it always sucks because they're like, let all the little people in there. You can see in front of them. So you end up way back here because you can see over top of the sea of little people. What if I want to be up front?
No, because there's a little guy that can't see over you.
Yeah, well, see, I remember like my middle school pictures where they lined us all up and they lined us up in alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm.
They realized quickly that I couldn't stand there. Then they put me on my knees and realized I was still blocking the two kids behind me. So the only one that wasn't in alphabetical order.
And then by the time they took the picture, he's the guy like this.
Everybody's standing on the risers and I'm on the side and I'm just barely shorter than them and I'm standing on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dude was getting ready to take the picture and he's like, wait, I can't even see those two kids. He's still giraffing up there. And I remember him saying that today. He's still giraffing up there. I'm standing, they put me up there and he goes, well, that kid can't stay there. I can't even see the back row. And they're like, well, have him kneel down. So I kneeled down. And he's like, he's still giraffing up there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So it was always in school. The teachers would be like, you stay back here. You can see over them. Damn, I need binoculars. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. That's most of us.
Oh, Lord.
And then it seemed like I got older, and then I met people like Michael Mertzke and a lot of other people that are taller yet than I am. And it's like, where were all you people growing up to make me feel normal?
They were further back in the crowd, so you couldn't see them.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it was everything in school was done in alphabetical order. And my last name beginning with B, I was always up front, but I was always the one that was never in alphabetical order.
Yep.
You can't put them here.
For Blakesley, see Appendix 1.
Yeah, my teacher, my principal, he's like, I think we should call you Zablakesley. And I was like, what? He's like, Zablakesley, then we can put you in the back every time.
Yep.
And I was like, that doesn't even make sense. I didn't understand it at the time, but he's like, well, then it doesn't put you out of order. Because it would be like in the yearbook, name, my name in parentheses, back left. Like,
see, now that's the true definition of OCD right there with your principal.
Yeah.
He knew that you had to be back there because you were blocking everybody else, but it bugged him that your name started with a B.
Right. Zablakesley. Like, what the hell is Zablakesley? He's like, then I won't feel bad about putting you back there.
Don't feel
Yeah,
bad.
we would go to like the auditorium to watch a play, and I'm like excited. I'm in the front row. Nope, you can't sit here. The other kids can't see. You got to go up back. Son of a bitch. I had a front row seat. How did this happen to me? Well, now it happened like twice in school in the auditorium where they made me move out of the front row. They put me somewhere else. Then they made me move again. Then they made me move all the way to the back. So both times I ended up right back here next to the projector to the point I was watching a silent film with couldn't even hear what the thing was saying. Yeah. We had my history teacher loved to play films and stuff like that. And that's, I guess, the way he babysat us. We're going to watch Harry Potter or whatever. I don't know. Not Harry Potter, but we're just going to watch something for the pure hell of it. And there's going to be a test.
Yep.
And it was like, I remember this one test we took, and the teacher came in the next day, and he was like red mad, but laughing at the same time. And he told me to collect all my things and had me move to the very front of the class over in the corner. He's like, you know, I asked a question about what color was the dog. I got blonde on every answer because your head was in the way. Nobody could even see the dog.
Oh, geez.
Oh, geez.
Well,
Blonde. Okay.
I don't know. The main reason I jumped on was because over that medication thing. Because you brought up a very interesting point, and although I don't have any disabilities, my wife doesn't have any disabilities, it is a valid point that sometimes the medication is not needed, but sometimes medication is needed that is not being prescribed.
Yeah,
And
and I think that happens a lot.
well, in my wife's case, what it was is she had all the classic symptoms of hypothyroid, low thyroid output. And she, I mean, she had more tests than I can count. And they all said the same thing. You're normal. You're on the low side of normal, but you're normal. She finally found, and she was 50 years old. She finally found one doctor who said, yes, you're on the low side of normal, but who says that's normal for you? Let's
Right.
try you on a small dosage and see what happens. And he put her on a very small dosage of levothyroxine, I think it's called. She's a different person, and every one of those symptoms went away. She had been hypothyroid for 50 years, but because she fell in that range, the doctors treated the numbers, not the
Right.
patient. She found that
Exactly.
one doctor that would treat the patient, and she's a different person.
Yeah, and that's what Charles is saying over there, unqualified mental health. I agree and disagree. Mental health is a very, very tricky thing. I mean, it really, really is. And although I can't understand psychosis because I'm not psychotic,
Right.
I do understand riding the roller coaster of literally could be pouring tears out of my eyes 1 second and the next second just beating the hell out of somebody. You know, I do understand riding that roller coaster, and I've had to learn that I have to put value to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to put value to whether or not I was going live tonight. Did I really want to pick this up? But guess what? I picked it up. We're doing it. I'll be okay. So I can put that back down. I don't have to carry it.
Right.
You know, but I would like to be to the point to where when it comes time to start this show, there's not even a penny involved because it has no weight. It has no merit. It has no value. Not like that. Not in mental value.
Sure. Well, just throwing it out there, and I know I hate comparisons as well, but I do a live stream every Sunday, and for about 10 minutes before I push that button every Sunday, I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
So, but that motivates me to calm myself down, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride while it's happening. But I do have that just momentary, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and I mean, look at how this started. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do, and we hang out on a regular basis. And I don't stutter and stammer like that, but that's part of the mental issue. But I have to. I'm not sure who that is, but hello.
Norseman Work has joined us. For those that don't know what he's talking about.
I've just had to learn that everything I encounter in my day-to-day life has merit. It has weight. It has value. And I just now choose to look at everything as a value and a weight. And do I really want to carry that? Is it worth that? Am I willing to pay that for this? That's where I'm at right now. I mean, I started in the easier scenarios with the magnets. And where I am now is I put weight to everything and value. And I ask myself, do I really want to pay to carry this weight?
I
Yep.
kind of asked myself a rhetorical question because we're talking about the fear and anxiety of going live. Before I went live the first couple times, I was nauseous as hell with nerves, and
Yeah,
yet
I was too.
now it seems natural. So why
I
did
was too.
why did I get over that hurdle so easy? And another one that
It
should
was
be
new.
less strength, less of a struggle. Seems like the smaller
Freud,
most people
what's
struggle.
up, brother? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I lost my train of thought.
Well, I can tell you, I went through the same thing, Charles, and that was because it was new. I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't want to look like an idiot,
Yeah.
you know, and it scared the hell out of me. And even though I'm getting ready. Number 106 will be this Sunday. Even though it's going to be 106, I know about 10 minutes before I'm going to sit down and almost wet myself. But then I'll just kind of relax, pull myself together, and just make the conscious decision to have fun with it. I can't control what happens. I can't control what anybody thinks of me while I'm doing this, or even while I'm talking to you right now.
I'm just
The
wondering
only-
why it was such a small hurdle for me when fear is my not crutch, but is my thing. But yet that one was such a small
But
hurdle, and the other ones that
you got used to it.
are bigger.
You got used to
But
it.
even
Fear is only in your mind.
Yeah.
Fear
You
is
got
it
not.
also depends
fear
on
is
how
not a
much weight
physical
you put
thing.
into it.
Yes.
How important is it to you compared to other things?
Right. As I was saying, the only thing I can control of any of that scenario is how I react to it.
Well, my live show should be one of the lower priorities. That's where it feels backwards. I get y'all's point. It just feels backwards to me.
Let me stop you for 1 second. Mark, do you want to tell everybody who you are and where you're from? And I think we'll go ahead and
Lower
wrap up
priority.
this live and we can hang out in here.
Oh, okay. Well, my name's Mark Lindsay, CNC. You can find me just about everywhere, YouTube, mainly, and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, Mark Lindsay, CNC. I do software tutorials.
We'll continue the conversation in here. We're going on 2 hours and I don't see the need to keep on with the same conversation for another 2 hours live. Everybody that's watched this tonight, or everybody that's gonna watch this, I appreciate it. And this was just the first one. From here going forward, I'll actually be doing things besides sitting here in front of the camera talking. So thank you for coming, and I hope in some way we help somebody. Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Take care, y'all.
Joining.
Night all.